Welcome to Creation Health. From the very beginning, God has wanted us to be happy and live full lives. And that's why in this Creation Health seminar, we share God's 8 original principles for experiencing whole person health. This seminar is all-inspiring and equipping you to live your life to the fullest. Today's topic is activity, the 4th principle in the Creation Health acronym. God wants us to be healthy and to prosper. The Bible says in John 3, verse 2, "Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers." Being active is one of the 8 lifestyle principles that makes this possible. So, during this session, we'll discover the latest research on activity and learn how to unlock this dynamic reservoir of vitality. It's time now to take some tests from your study guide. Do you want to see where you stand when it comes to exercise? You'll be taking 2 tests called Are You Exercise Hesitant and PAR-Q and U. These tests will help you establish a baseline for your personal fitness program. Are You Exercise Hesitant on page 262 will help you find out what barriers are keeping you from exercising. The PAR-Q test on page 264 has you consider serious health implications when starting an exercise routine. Please pause the video now and take these 2 important tests. We're glad you're back. We hope you're able to conquer some of your bad experiences, resistance, or health conditions that may be what are preventing you from getting in shape. Consult with your doctor and your friends to get started. The next video is your introduction to activity.
We were created to move, and when we do, it's a remarkable thing because we are powerful, beautiful, and graceful, for we are gracefully and wonderfully made. But physical activity isn't just for the pros, it's for all of us. It's for anyone who wants to feel fully alive and thoroughly happy. Activity is the rhythm of life. Activity is the fountain of youth. And exercising our bodies and minds slows the effects of aging and keeps us young at heart, unlocking life's greatest pleasures. During this Creation Health presentation on activity, we'll hear about the physical and mental benefits of activity. You'll learn how you can have more energy and less stress. Do you want to feel more fully alive? Then let's join Dr. George Guthrie as he reveals some easy ways for us to work our bodies and minds so we can enjoy lifelong health and happiness.
Movement is life. As Kenneth Cooper likes to say, it's easier to maintain your health than regain it. He's absolutely right. Activity activates growth processes in our body and mind that keep us young mentally and physically. The good news is that recent research suggests we don't have to spend countless hours in the gym to become healthy and fit. And some of the most exciting studies deal with the effect of activity on the brain. The bottom line is that if you want to be dynamic, have more energy, and feel more alive, then you have to start moving because motion has life-sustaining benefits. Let's continue this Creation Health presentation on activity by looking at some landmark research involving the mind. The adult brain can actually grow in response to regular demands placed on it. Until recently, we thought this impossible. As it turns out, exercising the mind is much like exercising the body. Just as physical activity keeps our bodies fit, mental activity keeps our brains fit. In fact, mental activity actually changes the brain's structure. In one study, the hippocampal area in the brains of London taxi drivers was measured with an MRI. The hippocampus is the part of the brain involved with memory. The results showed that persons with intensive spatial training, such as taxi drivers, had more hippocampal gray matter than other normal people. This part of the brain was enlarged in the taxi drivers because they used it extensively every day. Mental activity optimizes brain performance. But the opposite is also true. Unused brain cells die. Use it or lose it seems to be one of life's immutable laws.
Activity includes both the physical and mental aspects of our being, because the mind and body are intimately connected. A fit mind promotes a fit body, and a fit body promotes a fit mind. For optimal health, we must exercise both. So we'll begin today by discussing the importance of keeping our brain active. It's absolutely essential for us to engage our minds in regular mental activity. Here are many ways that mental activity benefits us. First of all, it allows us to continue to learn. It keeps us open-minded, helps us explore other ideas, and it gives us confidence when confronted with unfamiliar situations. Let's continue learning the whole person benefits that activity has on our mind and body.
So what's our takeaway from all of this? It's important to regularly exercise our brain in order to build a better, stronger mind. Brain-building exercises include doing puzzles, learning new languages, increasing your vocabulary, and even practicing a task with your non-dominant hand. Learning any new physical skill such as snowboarding, snorkeling, or even driving a car with the stick shift also exercises brain cells. One of my favorite ways to keep my mind fit and growing is to read the Bible. I'm not talking about just reading the words, I'm talking about reading to understand and apply what's being taught, to wrestle with the divinely inspired truth to see how it applies to my life today. Take time to memorize a Bible text every now and then. Reading the Bible and memorizing scriptures are some of the best brain-building exercises. In order to keep our brains active, it's important that it gets the right fuel at the right time. You may think we're getting a little off track here as we talk about how certain nutrients affect our brains, but bear with me. The key role nutrition plays is a vital part of our discussion on activity and is worth reviewing here. For effective mental activity, your brain needs a steady supply of glucose, its primary fuel source. The best way to get this is to start each day with a healthy breakfast. It is important for learning, memory, and physical well-being in children and adults. Scientists have discovered that breakfast eaters demonstrate more efficient problem solving, have increased verbal fluency, have an improved attention span, and school children who eat breakfast showed better attitudes and grades. The best breakfast is one that has foods with a low glycemic index. If that's a new term for you, the glycemic index is a measure of just how quickly carbohydrates are absorbed into our body and converted to blood sugar. Scientists measure how fast and high 100 grams of plain sugar or 100 grams of plain white bread raise the blood sugar in the body. These foods are used as a standard and represent 100%. Other foods are then compared to the standard and given a percentage rating. Broccoli or spinach would have a low glycemic index rating, while soda, French fries, or ice cream would have higher ratings. In general, we can say that the lower the glycemic index, the better a food is for our bodies and our brains. It is better when energy comes into our body slowly, over time, rather than rushing in like a tidal wave. It's much easier to handle, and it's healthier too. Let's get back to the breakfast experience. Even though bowls of oatmeal and sugary cereals have a similar number of carbohydrates, they have different glycemic index measures. The sugary cereal gets into your body quickly, peaking sugar levels, and then drops dramatically after about 2 hours. This releases hormones that negatively affect your mood, concentration, and memory, as well as making it easier to gain weight. Oatmeal, however, is absorbed more slowly, giving you a slow rise in blood sugar. That provides steady fuel until lunchtime. In a scientific study done in 2006, looking at students who ate sweetened oatmeal compared with those who ate high sugar cereal, the oatmeal eaters performed 20% better in school. It is important to note that both cereals had the same sugar content, but oatmeal had more fiber and protein, giving it a lower glycemic index. Similar studies have demonstrated that people who eat a low glycemic breakfast of oatmeal actually choose to eat about 30% fewer calories throughout the rest of the day. This makes it easier to keep a person's weight where it should be. So get healthier by simply beginning the day with breakfast, preferably one with a low glycemic index. When choosing your food, remember this basic principle. The closer our food is to the way God made it, the healthier it will be. We've talked about optimizing our brain through mental activity and fueling it regularly with a steady stream of energy. But your brain needs more to function optimally. It requires large amounts of oxygen. Physical activity provides the brain with extra oxygen. It shouldn't surprise you to learn that older individuals who exercised scored higher on intelligence tests than more sedentary people of the same age. And they were able to complete the tasks faster too. In another study, we discovered that after exercising, elderly subjects had a greater improvement in 6 of 8 measures of cognitive or brain functioning. Research shows children who take time for daily physical activity perform better in reading, language, and on test taking. Physically active college students also score better on tests and exhibit better short-term memory than inactive students. When you exercise your body, you're not just helping your heart, lungs, and muscles, you're helping your brain too. Let's summarize what we've learned about the mind. The brain grows in response to regular mental activities. We fuel our brains with glucose starting each day with a low glycemic breakfast. And then we flood our brains with oxygen through a variety of physical activities. Altogether, these things will optimize your brain performance, quickly improving your mood, emotions, and body. It all adds up to a big boost for your health.
The adult brain actually grows in response to the regular demands that are placed on it. This was thought impossible until recently. In fact, mental activity can actually change the physical structure of the brain. This was seen in a study on London taxi drivers where magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI, was used to measure hippocampal volume, an area of the brain involved in memory. People such as taxi drivers have significantly more hippocampal gray matter than usual. This part of the brain was enlarged in the taxi drivers because they use it every day. During a 28-year study involving 4,000 people in the state of Washington, researchers discovered that unused brain cells die. This is why it's important to exercise the mind by reading interesting books or doing crossword puzzles and other brain teasers. Reading books such as the classics or the Bible are excellent choices. Other activities that exercise the brain are jigsaw puzzles, memorizing Bible verses, learning a new activity, increasing your vocabulary, learning a new language, and practicing a task with your non-dominant hand. As the old saying goes, use it or lose it. Now here's a healthy action plan. Exercise your intellectual muscles. Please turn to page 115. Remember what you learned in the video. Decide what ways you can exercise your intellectual muscles. This is great homework. You'll return to this exercise in the future and see how it has impacted you. Please pause the video now and get started. Welcome back. Did you know that some of the games you might start playing can also strengthen your interpersonal relationships and your trust in God? We'll learn more about these subjects later in the course. Now, let's talk about breakfast. In order to sustain regular, effective mental activity, the brain needs fuel, which begins with breakfast because the body has fasted through the night. In 1995, the Pediatrics Department at the University of California at Davis hosted a group of psychologists, neuroscientists, nutritionists, and physiologists to review the scientific research on breakfast. The researchers concluded that eating breakfast is important in learning, memory, and physical well-being in both children and adults. People often wonder what kind of breakfast is best. Well, the answer is foods with a low glycemic index. Foods low on the glycemic scale are whole grains and oatmeal, complex carbohydrate foods that release energy in a way that sustains brain power. The glycemic index is a measure of how quickly carbohydrates are digested and turned into sugar in the body. Mixing complex carbohydrates with fiber, fat, and protein effectively lowers the glycemic index. Lowering the glycemic index has many benefits. It keeps us feeling fuller longer because it slows the digestion process, and we actually eat less. We perform better as well. In addition to good fuel, the brain also needs a tremendous amount of oxygen to function optimally. Physical activity helps the brain function better because of the oxygen it supplies. Fit, older individuals scored higher on fluid intelligence tests, and their response times were significantly faster than sedentary people of the same age. Elderly patients who completed exercise programs improved their physical fitness and neuropsychological performance. Physical activity improved mental performance and short-term memory in young adults as well as in debilitated psychogeriatric patients. Following exercise, elderly subjects had a greater improvement in 6 out of 8 scores of cognitive functioning. School children who took time every day for physical activity did better on language, reading, and a basic battery of tests. When you exercise your body, you're not just helping your heart, lungs, and so forth. You're helping your brain, too. Using MRI scans from 55 older adults, scientists looked for variations of density in the white and gray brain matter and compared them to other health markers, such as aerobic fitness. There was a significant increase in brain volume, both gray and white matter, when subjects participated in aerobic exercise. Another study showed exercise is associated with a delay in the onset of dementia and Alzheimer's disease. A study of older adults showed that even moderate cardiovascular activity results in improved neural and cognitive functioning and may help extend or enhance independent living. The conclusion is clear. We were created to move. For anyone searching for the fountain of youth, activity is it. Activity is essential for staying young, having more energy, and less stress. It's estimated that approximately 12% of total deaths each year are attributed to a lack of regular physical activity. Physical activity is protective and extends life. It promotes cardiorespiratory endurance, muscular strength, muscular flexibility, and good body composition. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the American College of Sports Medicine, the many benefits of exercise include improved coronary heart disease risk factors, improved blood lipid profile, improved resting blood pressure, better body composition, glucose tolerance and insulin sensitivity, greater bone density, better immune function, and finally, increased psychological function. Dr. Paffenbarger and his team of researchers conducted a large study on almost 17,000 Harvard alumni. Research concluded that for every hour spent exercising, subjects could add 4 or more hours to their life expectancy. The additional hours of life are especially appealing because the outcome is a higher quality of life. Quality, not just quantity. Plus, alumni who exercised regularly had only half the death rate from heart disease compared to those who never exercised. The relationship of physical activity to longevity was assessed by responses to 4 questions involving how often respondents participated in active sports, swimming or taking long walks, physical exercises, or gardening, hunting, and fishing. Look at these slides. On this slide, women are in green, and researchers found that the women's level of physical activity was inversely related to lower mortality death. This means that women who were the least active had a mortality rate 3 times higher, 9.0, than those who were the most active, 2.9. Women who were moderately active had an intermediate death rate of 5.2. Now take a look at the men who are in red. The men's level of physical activity in the Good Health Practices study was inversely related to lower death rates. That means that as physical activity increased, death rates decreased. Likewise, as physical activity decreased, death rates increased. This data is from the Aerobics Center longitudinal study, and it shows the relative risk of cardiovascular disease was 2.7 times higher in men and 2.8 times higher in women who were less fit as compared to fit persons. Other interesting findings include, number 1, the risk of overall mortality in low-fit men was 2.03 and 2.23 for low-fit women. Secondly, in men, fitness levels were one of the strongest predictors of mortality, better than high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, family history of CHD, and fasting glucose levels. Only chronic illness and abnormal ECG results were higher predictors. Thirdly, in women, low fitness was the strongest of all risk factors for predicting overall mortality. This is another slide from the Aerobics Center longitudinal study. Of all the risk factors listed on the slide, low fitness was the strongest predictor of overall mortality. Researchers also learned that fit people with any combination of smoking, elevated blood pressure, or elevated cholesterol levels had lower death rates overall than low-fit people with none of those problems. In other words, if a person smokes and has high blood pressure but is physically active, the odds of dying prematurely are lower than for someone who doesn't smoke and doesn't have high blood pressure but is inactive. This clearly demonstrates the powerful protective effects of physical activity and its ability to promote health and well-being. In a recent article by Dr. Blair in the Journal of the American Medical Association, exercise was shown to be protective against coronary heart disease and cancer. Physical activity was also shown to be a stronger predictor of mortality rates than high blood pressure, smoking, and high cholesterol. A single session of physical activity can produce positive mental health results such as anxiety reduction for 2 to 6 hours. Physical activity helps reduce tension, improve mood by causing changes in the biochemistry of the brain, increase confidence and control from accomplishing personal goals, doing something good for your body and health. Physical activity is a good diversion from problems because it interrupts our negative cycles of thinking. And lastly, physical activity helps build resistance to stress. In one interesting study, people dealing with depression were treated with physical activity instead of the classic on-the-couch psychotherapy. After 6 months, the physical activity group had improved as much as the traditional on-the-couch psychotherapy group. Physical activity can relieve depression and anxiety, improve your mood and cognitive function, your mental acuity, attention, and focus, and may even reduce the risk of developing depression overall. The American College of Sports Medicine and the American Heart Association offer the following guidelines. To promote and maintain health, all healthy adults aged 18 to 65 need moderate intensity aerobic physical activity for a minimum of 30 minutes 5 days each week, or vigorous intensity aerobic activity for a minimum of 20 minutes 3 days each week. Combinations of moderate and vigorous intensity activity are okay. Moderate intensity aerobic activity, which is generally equivalent to a brisk walk and noticeably accelerates the heart rate, can be accumulated toward the 30-minute minimum from bouts lasting 10 or more minutes. It's also recommended that 8 to 10 exercises be performed on 2 or more non-consecutive days each week using the major muscle groups. To maximize strength development, a resistance or weight should be used, doing 8 to 12 repetitions of each exercise. People who want to reduce their risk for chronic diseases and disabilities or prevent weight gain should exceed the minimum recommended activity. These activities are in addition to the light activities done during daily life. The following are some guidelines to follow when engaging in moderately intense physical activity. Maintain your activity for the full time planned, 10 to 30 minutes, without straining or getting too tired. The activity should be fairly easy to somewhat hard. And a moderate sweat tells you that health benefits are occurring. Scientific evidence clearly demonstrates that regular, moderate-intensity physical activity provides substantial health benefits. Adults should expect to burn approximately 200 calories per day from moderate exercise. This is the equivalent of brisk walking 3 to 4 miles per hour for healthy adults, or a 15 to 20-minute mile. A simple way to gauge whether or not you're getting good benefits from your exercise is to utilize the talk-sing test, which is done by monitoring your breathing. It's good to feel a little winded while carrying on a conversation during exercise, but not to the point of gasping. On the other hand, if you can sing to your exercise partner, then consider stepping it up a bit. You should feel mildly winded to get the most from your exercise in terms of general health benefits. The study reinforced this point by showing that the degree of change from low fit to moderately fit showed the greatest improvement in health benefits, even more than the change from moderately fit to highly fit. Isn't it encouraging that any kind of regular exercise is beneficial? This 8-year study assessed participant fitness levels and all-cause mortality. Women are represented in green, and as you can see, the moderately fit women had a relative risk less than half the risk of unfit women, while highly fit women had less than a fifth the relative risk of unfit women. Sedentary women were 5.3 times more likely to die from any cause during the time of this study than highly fit women. Men are represented in red. Moderately fit men had less than half the death rate as unfit men. Sedentary men were 3.2 times more likely to die from any cause during the time of this study than highly fit men. We might think housework isn't very beneficial when it comes to exercise, but according to research in the UK, housework can substantially reduce a woman's risk of developing breast cancer. More than 44,000 cases of breast cancer are diagnosed in the UK every year. Last year, 12,400 died from the disease, most in their postmenopausal years. Although some people might not spend that many hours doing housework, the point is, we can benefit greatly from our common everyday tasks and activities. Vigorously intense activity is also very beneficial and results in even more benefits. If you're over age 40, or if you have a heart condition or other serious health problems, obtain your doctor's permission before beginning a physical activity program. Interval training is another way to reap great health benefits that make physical activity interesting, tolerable, and it's a time-effective way to get good results. It consists of timed intervals of different intensities done during the same session. One study examined the changes in exercise capacity and molecular and cellular adaptations in skeletal muscle after low-volume sprint interval training and high-volume endurance training. The participants performed 6 training sessions over 14 days. Each session consisted of either 4 to 6 repeats of 30 seconds of all-out cycling with 4 minutes of recovery, or 90 to 120 minutes of continuous cycling. Training time commitment over 2 weeks was about 2.5 hours for the sprint interval training group and about 10.5 hours for the endurance training group. The total training volume was about 90% lower for sprinters versus the endurance trainers. Both types of training induced similar improvements in muscle oxidative and buffering capacity and exercise performance. When incorporating interval training, increase your intensity gradually. Pay close attention to how you feel and don't overdo it, or you will injure yourself. Many athletes incorporate interval training into their physical activity to gain a competitive edge. Remember, in order to gain benefits from interval training, an all-out effort isn't required. The great news is that everyone can get impressive benefits from incorporating intervals into their regular physical activity. In one study, the intermittent exercise group showed significantly greater weight loss and greater body percent fat loss and improved thyroid function than the continuous exercise group. Results show that this is an excellent way to lose weight and improve cardiovascular function. Now we're going to be doing 2 more exercises called New Physical Activity or Skill and Change Your Exercise Environment. Let's get going by turning to page 116 and 117 of your guide. Skill Builders 4 and 5 are very closely related. The ideas here are to avoid boredom and start cross-training by trying new things. Also, getting a change of scenery helps, especially if you can get back to nature and its health benefits. So go ahead and pause the video and get creative. Glad to have you back. Did you think of anything new? Maybe a few things. In a few weeks or months, don't forget to return to these skill builders to see the impact they have had on you. Rest is considered an activity. Taking a breather helps with retention. So let's take a break. Don't forget to make a note of where you left us. We'll see you back soon. Welcome back. Are you ready to go to the next segment? Remember, too, that the amount of activity is more important than the specific activity performed. The goal is to accumulate 30 or more minutes of activity in short bouts. Combinations of moderate and vigorous intensity activity can be performed to meet this recommendation. The general rule of thumb is to exercise a minimum of 30 minutes 5 days a week, or if you're doing vigorous activity, a minimum of 20 minutes 3 days a week to maintain fitness. However, if you want to improve your fitness, adding even 5 minutes can be very beneficial. These recommendations are the minimum for physical activity to further improve fitness levels, reduce risk for chronic disease, or prevent weight gain. It's also okay to accumulate 30 minutes a day with 2 15-minute or 3 10-minute exercise sessions. For example, 3 10-minute sessions might include walking 10 minutes to work, walking another 10 minutes at noon, and mowing the lawn for 10 minutes in the afternoon. For 2 15-minute sessions, you might try walking 1 mile and riding a stationary bike for 15 minutes. This next skill builder will help you plan your exercise. It's on page 114 of your study guide. This assignment takes 2 weeks. During that time, you can insert a variety of exercises into your plan until you see what works. Pause now to create your plan. Glad to see you're back. Did you plan an interesting schedule? If you can keep it enjoyable and include friends and family, you'll be more likely to continue. You might also want to check out the aerobic mile chart on page 263 to help you pace yourself.
We've explored building a stronger mind. Now let's talk about building a stronger body. What do you picture when you hear the term strength training? Bulky muscles, countless hours in the gym, diet shakes, expensive supplements. You don't have to go to a gym to enjoy the benefits of strength training. By committing only minutes a week, you can have many of the benefits. You probably already know that strength training reduces symptoms associated with diabetes, arthritis, osteoporosis, and even depression. Science is finding more and more evidence each year proving that strength training is vital to a longer, healthier life. Some researchers say strength training is the best anti-aging strategy we have. Consider this research by Miriam Nelson. The results were published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. After strength training twice weekly for a year, women's bodies were physically 15 to 20 years more youthful. In this study, they didn't use drugs. Women regained bone. They became stronger, in most cases, even stronger than when they were younger. And their flexibility and balance improved. Get this, without changing what they ate, they became leaner and trimmer and 27% more active. These benefits apply to men as well. You have significant control over your health. You have the power to improve it. Here's something to think about. It is estimated that 1/3 of the heart attacks among middle-aged women in the United States are attributed to physical inactivity. Think of it this way. Picture a row of dominoes set up on end. The first domino is muscle mass, which is closely linked to strength training. A loss of muscle mass starts with the fall of the first domino. What follows is system-wide failure, the domino effect. But then consider this. If you start incorporating strength training into your life only twice a week, guess what happens? You can reverse the domino effect. When the first domino stands up strong, the others rise to join it. That's how much power you have. Do 8 to 10 slow, dynamic strength training exercises involving each of your major muscle groups. You don't need very heavy weights. Often, 1 or 2 pounds is enough when starting. Use enough of resistance to slowly do 8 to 12 repetitions to near fatigue. That is, just a little bit of burn on just the last repetition. You actually get more benefit from slowly lowering the weight than from the lifting. If the muscle burns earlier, you're using too much weight. If you're older and more frail, do 10 to 15 repetitions with less weight. After a couple of weeks, you will find it gets easier and you'll want to increase the weights slightly. Do a minimum of 1 set for each muscle group. 2 sets are better. Do this at least twice a week. You could get help from a personal trainer or visit the website of the American College of Sports Medicine, or purchase a copy of Miriam Nelson's book, Strong Women Stay Young. It's easy to do these strength training exercises at home. To reverse the aging process, to feel younger and to be more energetic and healthy, start now. Make a decision to get started, accept no excuses, just do it. Why? It's estimated 250,000 deaths a year in the United States are attributed to a lack of regular physical activity. That's roughly the same number of people that live in the city of Birmingham, Alabama. To put it another way, if people simply started exercising, 250,000 lives could be saved each year. There's another type of exercise that's critical to good health as well, cardiovascular exercise. While strength training focuses on making muscles stronger, cardiovascular exercise focuses on strengthening the system that delivers energy and oxygen to the muscles. This occurs when a person exercises enough to make the heart, lungs, and blood vessels stretch to supply enough oxygen to keep the muscles going. This means that the breathing is deeper and more rapid, that the heart rate goes up, and the blood vessels open up to let more blood through to the muscles. Cardiovascular exercise protects against the debilitating diseases of coronary heart disease and cancer. It decreases inflammation in the body, and just like muscle strengthening exercise, improves insulin sensitivity, helping to avoid diabetes. Many people think they have to spend hours running, walking, or jogging to be healthy, but it's not true. In 2007, the American College of Sports Medicine and the Centers for Disease Control jointly issued national guidelines for physical activity, stating that adults should accumulate 30 minutes or more of moderate intensity physical activity daily. Let's focus on two important terms from that sentence. Number one, accumulate. This means you can break up your activity into 3 10-minute segments or into 2 15-minute sessions, if it works better for you. When researchers evaluated 2 groups of people, one group exercising continuously for 30 minutes and the other exercising 3 separate times, 10 minutes each, they found that the multiple short bouts of exercise produced the same improvement in fitness level. The second term is moderate intensity. Moderate intensity is exercising at a level that burns about 200 calories a day, or is equivalent to walking a mile in about 20 minutes. That's not too fast. Another way to measure this is with the talk test. Here's how that works. If you're walking and you have to take a breath 2 or 3 times in the middle of a sentence, then you're going at about the right intensity. A person could easily experience the protective benefits of physical activity by walking 15 minutes each morning and evening. Isn't it good to discover that any regular, moderate exercise is going to be beneficial? Start today accumulating 30 minutes of moderate activity. This might be a mix of several things: a 10-minute walk, mowing the lawn, washing the car, or even playing with your children. These little lifestyle changes help to keep us young in body and mind and help to reverse the domino effect of aging. Each of us chooses our own lifestyle. Not deciding is deciding. I suggest that you choose what makes you fully alive and keeps you active, both physically and mentally.
So there we have it. There's no magic pill or special secret. According to Dr. Kenneth Cooper, we do not stop exercising because we grow old. We grow old because we stop exercising. You can reverse the aging process and have a younger and healthier body. Start with these 3 steps. Strength train twice a week, accumulate 30 minutes of moderate physical exercise each day, and exercise your brain. Follow this plan, you'll look younger, feel better, and have more energy. But most of all, you'll enjoy living and have more time with the ones you love. That's Creation Health.
Strength training provides many benefits, including a higher resting metabolic rate, meaning more calories are burned, which helps with weight loss. Each pound of muscle tissue gained increases resting metabolism by 35 calories a day. Strength training also increases muscular strength, endurance, and tone, ligament and tendon strength, and bone density, which prevents osteoporosis. It also reduces arthritic pain, helps with posture, increases your sports skills, and gives you better joint stability. Finally, strength training increases strength and muscle mass, decreases occurrence of injuries, improves your self-esteem and appearance, and decreases incidence of lower back pain. The American Heart Association recommends doing 8 to 10 strength training exercises, 8 to 12 repetitions of each exercise twice a week. 2 to 3 sets will produce faster results and increase muscle mass. Moderate to high-intensity resistance training performed 2 to 3 times per week for 3 to 6 months improves muscular strength and endurance in men and women of all ages by 25 to 100%, depending on the training. The book Biomarkers: The 10 Determinants of Aging You Can Control also illustrates vividly how strength training is a fountain of youth. The 10 determinants that can be controlled are muscle mass, strength, basal metabolic rate, body fat percentage, aerobic capacity, blood sugar tolerance, cholesterol HDL ratio, blood pressure, bone density, and the body's ability to regulate its internal temperature. Each of these determinants is directly and significantly affected by strength training. The most obvious determinants that are affected are muscle mass and strength, which are the immediate results of this important component of physical activity. We create good mass by resistance exercises that in turn stimulate muscle growth. The loss of muscle mass can create a domino effect. If you lined up 10 dominoes in a row, with each representing one determinant of aging that can be controlled, the first domino would be muscle mass, and once knocked over, the other dominoes would follow. The bottom line is that if we want to remain independent and have fewer limitations as we grow older, it's essential to build and maintain good muscle strength now. Here are some tips for you if you're just beginning. If you're lifting free weights, have a buddy spot you. Breathe properly. Exhale when working hard. Inhale during the easy phase of a lift. Don't overdo it. Don't forget to always warm your muscles up gradually. Start with easy workloads and increase intensity after your muscles are fully warmed up. If an exercise hurts a joint or causes pain, then use an easier workload or try a different exercise. Some have called strength training the best anti-ager that we have. Miriam Nelson's research created news worldwide when the results were published. After a year of strength training twice a week, women's bodies were 15 to 20 years more youthful. Without the use of drugs, they regained bone, helping prevent osteoporosis. They became stronger, in most cases even stronger than when the women were young. Their flexibility and balance improved. Without changing what they ate, they were leaner and trimmer. No other program, whether diet, aerobic exercise, or medication, has ever achieved comparable results. Research regarding the effects of physical activity on men has revealed similar results. Are you ready for another exercise? This one will be a real exercise as you test your strength with the push-up assessment. On page 267 of your guide, you'll find instructions on how to do your push-ups correctly. Depending on how many you can do, you'll fall into a specific category and see areas for improvement. Pause the video now and give it a try, and try not to overdo it. We're back. So, how did it go? Again, no worries. You can start small and work your way up. Let's move on to the video. For long-term success, choose activities you'll stick with. Recruit a friend or a coworker, maybe a family member, to be your workout buddy. Make a plan for activity and hold each other accountable. Add variety, record your progress, and stick with it. Be persistent. Don't give up. If you've had a bad day or a week, just start over the next day. You will only fail if you quit trying. Knowing the importance and benefits of physical activity should get you moving, but get your physician's approval before beginning any type of exercise program. If you are in good health, begin with moderate activities, such as walking, and let your body adjust to the exercise. First, decide what your goals are, and then create a plan to achieve them. Pay attention to your intensity levels because this is the most important component for improved fitness levels in the smallest amount of time. Intensity works on the principle of overload, in which the body adapts to the amount of stress that's placed on it. In other words, your fitness won't improve until the body is overloaded to the point of needing to adapt in order to keep up with increasing intensity demands. You can be fit for life. FIT is an acronym for frequency, intensity, time, type, and enjoyment, which brings about motivation. Those principles for enjoyment are as follows. Develop an exercise routine. Schedule exercise time. Find an exercise buddy. Join an exercise program. Find a fitness trainer. Know your limitations. Affirm the positive. Find the right intensity. Warm up and cool down before and after exercising. Share your enthusiasm. Read in advance and know your subject. Make a personal investment. And add some variety. Warming up and cooling down is an important part of any physical activity program and should typically take about 3 to 5 minutes. The benefits of a proper warm-up will include the following. It gets blood to the muscles with all of its nutrients and oxygen. Literally warms up the muscle, therefore decreasing the chance of injury. Warming up permits gradual changes, which in turn results in increased performance. And it improves coronary blood flow in the early part of your exercise. The next exercise is part of a proper warm-up, stretching. This is your flexibility assessment. Please turn to page 266. Yep, you're about to get some more exercise that should loosen you up some. Make sure you do a short warm-up prior to the test to avoid injury. Pause the video now to see how limber you are. You're back now and ready for more studies, right? Well, now that we know how to warm up right, let's hear about how to cool down. At the end of your workout, it's important to cool down for the following reasons. Cooling down slowly decreases the heart rate and brings the body back to a normal state. It helps to work out the byproducts that can cause muscle soreness, and it reduces the tendency for muscle spasm or cramping. Cooling down also prevents the blood from pooling in the extremities and blood pressure from dropping rapidly, thereby reducing the likelihood of lightheadedness and fainting. We've learned so much about activity today, so feel free to refer to your Creation Health Personal Study Guide to review all of this information. For now, let's close today's presentation by understanding how activity impacts all of the other components of Creation Health. Exercise helps you sleep better at night. It also helps you to relax, too. Physical activity gives you a perfect opportunity to get out and enjoy the blessings of nature, such as sunshine, fresh air, and the beauty of the natural world. During physical activity is a perfect time to connect with God through prayer, meditation, and allowing Him to speak to you, especially if you're outside in nature. Participating in physical activity with others is a great way to nurture relationships. Physical activity helps us to de-stress, which enables us to have a more positive outlook. Activity helps us to focus on the quality and quantity of fuel that we're putting into our bodies so that we can keep ourselves and our minds functioning at optimum levels. 70% of the population is physically inactive. Stroke, high blood pressure, and diabetes are all linked to a lack of exercise. The benefits of exercise include improved body composition and physical appearance. Activity can improve stamina, strength, flexibility, power, and speed. It also improves coordination, agility, balance, and accuracy. Activity can decrease cholesterol, increase your bone density, improve your insulin uptake, decrease the pulse and blood pressure, and improve your sleep. It also improves your psychological health and your self-esteem and self-confidence. Research has shown that just 30 minutes of walking 3 times per week significantly reduces the risk for coronary artery disease and cancer. When you're just getting started, remember that small changes can produce large results. Try parking as far away as possible when you're shopping. Use stairs instead of elevators. Or take an evening stroll with a friend or loved one. Aim for 30 to 60 minutes of moderate exercise 4 to 6 days every week. So get out and move, and you'll live a fuller, healthier life. Your tips for success start on page 118. Power tips on how to improve your physical health. Review these tips from time to time as a quick refresher on what you've learned so far. Here's what one of our seminar leader training graduates is saying about the program.
One of the ways I'd like to implement this creation seminar, because I thought there were so many good ideals to it and so many motivational tips, and it was put together so well. I'm sure we can incorporate it, and this could be implemented very easily because it's so easy to learn and the material is so interesting and exciting, and I really believe it has some great benefit to everyone who attends.
We'll close with some inspirational words from Dr. Monica Reed as she answers the question, what if I don't have time to exercise?
One of the challenges that I think most of us face today is time. We don't feel like we have enough time to make change. And we also tend to be an all or none society. We either want to go for the gusto or we don't want to do it at all. And what I really try to work with patients and tell them is that it's the small, consistent changes day by day that really make a difference. So let's say you don't drink any water. We know how important water is to our lives. If you're not drinking any today, are you going to start drinking 8 glasses tomorrow? Probably not. But what you can do is make a small commitment to say, I'll drink 1 glass today. And it's getting those small, significant changes that help you realize your own success that make you want to do it more and more. So it doesn't have to be a drudgery. And I think that's really important for people today to understand that the changes that you may make, deciding to write a letter, for example, something that we hardly ever do, is just as healthy as deciding to go out to the gym. And so I think when you make the program realistic for people, when you help them understand how important it is to focus on your entire life, then people can begin to see, you know what, perhaps I can do this. And that's the beginning of the change.
This concludes our Creation Health training on the topic of activity. As we proceed on to the next lessons, we'll continue to discuss the remaining principles in the Creation acronym. Congratulations! You're well on your way to becoming a certified Creation Health graduate. And good luck on the quiz.